Alright, hey guys, greetings to all of you, those of you that are already watching half an hour before we started. This week's episode, probably, I say this every time, gonna be a short episode, but who knows. It's gonna be more feature-packed discussion, and I'm back with Saune yet again, so be on the lookout for the Speed Doodles return. Live. Something. Whatever. We're gonna start. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the 90th, count 'em 90th episode of the Chronicles of Tyria podcast, a Gw2 podcast for fans by fans. Again, we'll be talking feature pack and speed duels, and I am joined by not Brahms, but Saune yet again for her epic second return to the live show. So welcome.
Thank you.
Just again, the quick shout out, if you are listening to iTunes, which is all currently up to date, and you'd like to actually watch us live, I would say 90% of the time it's Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, twitch.tv/Chronicles of Tyria. If it's not on Thursday night, it's because we've temporarily moved that episode to Saturday to either support our own schedules, but also to allow our European audience to view us live. But yet again, still twitch.tv/Chronicles of Tyria. So, Saune, how are you doing today? I see you already got the drawings are already going. So
Yeah.
All right. So how you doing? How's things going for you?
I am good. I'm very good.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still working on the drawings for the comic. They're awesome.
Yeah. Well, we might as well talk about that right now then. Yeah, we announced the winners, who they were, not too long ago, and this past Wednesday, the first winner's character profile page was posted up. So, let me actually pull it up while I'm talking here. I'll go get it, and then everybody can see it.
Yeah.
So,
the first one up, I guess, was our Sura, for anyone who didn't see quite yet. So,
trying to find it, but it's not.
It shouldn't be that difficult to find, bro.
You would think, but it's actually not. Oh, it's harder to find than you think, believe it or not. So I'm gonna post a link because we had some technical difficulties with the website. Jowl was breaking everything. So yeah, it's actually pretty difficult to get to this character, but here is the field journal for our Asura character. And next week there will be a release of yet another one of the characters who won the contest, and then the following week will be the final character release. And at that point, after that, we will then move on to continuing with the comic that you saw the first 6 issues of. So, there you go.
Yay!
So, let's get back right into it. I have a meme, kind of, for today. Sort of.
That's important.
Yeah, it's, let me see, I got it right here. So, it's not really a meme, per se, but it does tie into what was done for April Fool's Day, this year, done by ArenaNet, which was everything in the game was bobbleheaded.
I died. I seriously died. Everything except fish.
Yeah.
Only fish, and the occasional critter didn't quite work. But everything was bobblehead, and it was like impossible to take anything seriously.
Yeah, they went pretty crazy. Like, Tequatl, the Shatterer, Giganticus, Lupicus, all of them had bobbleheads.
Oh my god, I should have done some world events.
Yeah, so, pretty crazy. Although, not, last year we got, Super Adventure Box, and Guild Wars 1 always did. There were, like, some fake patch notes sort of leaked in places, but there was a lot more interesting stuff done not in-game for Guild Wars 2 April Fool's Day. Like, Scarlet supposedly coming back and taking over the Guild Wars 2 Reddit.
Yeah, that was after the first people to prank the Guild Wars 2 Reddit actually redirected the entire Reddit to the YouTube, the band. YouTube, yep. Their specific Reddit was just getting slammed with everyone trying to get to Guild Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So then Scarlet came back. The wiki was sold off.
Yep. Dolphy apparently bought the Guild Wars 2 wiki, and Guild Wars 2 wiki was completely redone in all pink with Dolphy.net at the top. She had an article on her page about how she bought out the Guild Wars 2 wiki, so that was kind of neat. Then, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I guess props to whoever picked that shade of pink, because Dolphy's site is red. The wiki was this particular shade of pink I did not know existed. It was hideous. It was like so hideous and super, super girly all at the same time. I did not know such a color could exist.
And the other big one was that Shaman, who's the premier data miner in the Guild Wars 2 community, posted up this massive fake Tengu expansion pack, where like the Quaggins were evil, and there was like, there was so much funny stuff in that.
Oh, the polearms for Mesmers.
Polearms for Mesmers, yeah.
If you can't find it, like seriously, people, you gotta find it, and you have to actually look at the Mesmer skill icon. It was just so funny.
Let me see if
and Alu, yes, most pinks are hideous, but yeah, that was a special kind of hideous.
I can't seem to find. I was looking for his thing on Reddit real quick just to see. Oh, here we go. So this, I'll post the link right here. The Rise of the Tengu mini expansion. With 2 new exclusive zones, a level 90 dungeon, create a playable Tengu, wield polearms, completely reworked underwater combat for PvP, 100% underwater PvP map. There were even, let's see, switch over to this. There were even fake loading screens for the Temple of Tolerance, the Quaggin Temple. He went a little nuts. There was maps of what the area looked like. It was pretty in depth. He did a good job, or whoever he had assist him with this did a really good job. They added Tengu to the character select screen, which it looked perfect. Like it looked like it fit in just perfectly. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, you wanted the Mesmer skills. There's all these things about unlocking a script mercenary that boosts your magic find and your auto loot radius, and you can have multiple script mercenaries, and they stack and add new things. All sorts of crazy stuff. But let me see where the skill icons. Saune brought this to my attention. Take a look at the number 4 icon for the Mesmer skill. The Mesmer polearm skill may look a little bit familiar to you if you're familiar with meme culture or Star Trek: The Next Generation. So just thought that was kind of interesting, and I totally missed that, so she brought that to my attention. So thank you for that. Alright, back to us.
Yeah, anyone who thought that thing was serious just needs to look at that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna keep moving on. I did have a question of the week last week, and it was, what do you think the facilitating friendly play information, which we did get earlier yesterday and today actually, what do you think facilitating friendly play update would be about? And I said if anybody could guess it right, I would give them like massive prizes. Well, we did get some responses, so I'll read these out. This is from Thimble's Edge. Hello hosts, my wild theory for the solid foundation, which was the thing we had beforehand actually, so she got this in pretty early. News release was that it would be guild halls. Oh well. My part 2 wild theory looks less likely now with part 1 debunked, was that the 3 posts next week facilitating friendly play would have to be something big, because it's 3 posts and because they're ending with it. Something big like a new game mode perhaps, maybe guild versus guild. Gee, with 3 posts, maybe they'll give us guild halls with it anyway. It'd sure facilitate friendly play within and between guilds, and the game is called Guild Wars. I guess we'll know soon. Thanks for the show, guys. Thimble's Edge. P.S. Tell Saune her air guitar rocks.
Thank you.
Do you want to read the next one, or
yeah,
you want to keep
I can
drawing?
read the next one.
Right.
The next one is from Club.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they are going to try and promote partying up with others in some manner. Perhaps by offering an XP bonus while in a party or some other buff. Most of the content is soloable, which makes making parties obsolete unless running a dungeon. On another note, are you accepting new members into your guild, and if so, what are the requirements? After watching your podcast, I was wondering how much more enjoyable the game would be if I were in a guild of entertaining even-keeled nerds like myself. Yeah, it's just on the forums. I'll let Leg... Why can I not talk right today? Leg will tell you the details once I get this last little bit out. Also, I would like the chance to come into contact with other artists, and you guys seem to promote that regularly. Sorry about the lengthy email. That's not really actually that long. Trust me.
Just wait.
Yeah. Signed, Club.
Yeah. The current process is going to the cotforums.com and filling an application there. We're looking to, with the feature pack coming out and the sort of stagnation with some of the members that we have, and the overall activity of the guild is kind of low at this point. We have something like 130 members, but maybe 40 active, at a given time. And half the ones that are active don't represent. So we're the CoT, my colleagues and I are looking into reworking some things around, and there may be changes to that process. But for right now, go to cotforums.com. There's an application thread at the top. 18 plus. Fill out. You have to be 18 plus, and fill out the application, and then we'll approve you there, and you'll be good to go. So we're working on, we're going to have a meeting soon, and we're going to figure that out. So, but as for your comment about artists, yes, we have several awesome artists within the guild itself, and I'm all about promoting other artists, and there will be more art coming out. Be promoting an artist once a week. Well, artists in the larger sense, not just necessarily like drawn art or digital art. I mean like things like cosplay and people that create things and etc. But I saw some people mentioning in the chat like a guild meeting. There's going to be an officer meeting first, just throw it out there. But there will also be a guild meeting because we have some. We're looking for new ideas and we want fresh new ideas. So we'll be polling everybody for any kind of information and stuff like that. But that'll all be coming out soon. We're still kind of working through things ourselves. Last quick thing was from Mike Olson, and his guess was guesting between Europe and North America. That would be fantastic, but sadly, no. We'll get into what facilitating friendly play is in a little bit, what those articles were about. But first, let's. Looks like you have. Saune, you have no shoutouts for this week?
No, I don't. I didn't end up playing overtly much, and when I wasn't being very social.
Okay. I do have a shout out to our very own Joel and Ara, previous Drawing with Joel fame, and one of the artists I mentioned, for 3D mocking up a roulette wheel for me and then animating it to have little images spin around it for my presentation for my project management class on Monday. I wanted to try to make it different and blow the judges out of the water. So Joel stepped up because I asked her. She didn't really step up. I approached her and she just was amazing and did this for me. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, if you know what? Also, I'll throw this out there while I'm thinking about it. If you're an artist in the Guild Wars 2 community in any aspect, and you want us to promote your work, send us an email, send us some pictures linked to your DeviantArt page, what have you, and we will gladly promote you here. So, yeah. Alright, I'm going to take a drink because Tori G sent us another email, and if those of you who have watched the show recently, you'll know that Tori G is known for the walls of text, so hang on.
Yeah, I saw this and immediately dibsed out.
Yeah. Alright. I'm on the road this week for work. Spent the weekend driving from California to Dayton, Ohio. Anyway, great shows, was catching up on the cast, and let's lower on the long drives. Keep it up, lagging crew. How about that April Fool's? Really old school GW1 style prank. Definitely brought back nostalgia about gender swapping, stick figures, Gwen dolls, and becoming mini pets. Just to shoehorn that in, yeah, that was some of the classic stuff ANET did in Guild Wars 1. All the characters became stick figures, they swapped, minis became large, and characters became small. The very first year, all the genders swapped in the game. So lots of cool stuff they used to do. Sorry, Brahms, no SAB. I'm sure it has some conflicts with the reward changes coming in the feature patch with skin unlocks and such. So here's my wall of text this week. That wasn't the wall. The wall starts here. People overhyping things. All they had to work with was feature patch, and it was like guild halls, cross-region guesting, new legendaries, new maps, housing, mounts, precursor crafting, ascended jeweler, and cooking. Those are all content. Now I'm writing this before the facilitating friendly play patches 1, 2, and 3, or parts 1, 2, and 3, articles. So by the showtime, this could be semi-outdated. Here goes. Why do people think there was going to be content added with this patch? It was always marketed as a feature patch only. To me, features and content have different definitions. Content. Things to play / experience, new enemies with new attacks, new events, new maps, areas, dungeons, jumping puzzles, etc. Those are all content. Features. A game feature changes, expands, or gives more options to the way you experience / play the game. Features take content that already exists and give you more to do with it. More rewards, more interconnected systems, more reasons to play and have fun with what is there. I have seen a lot of criticism of the upcoming patch as a quality of life patch. It goes, we should have had this since launch QQ. I say meh. If we had it at launch, then the game would be launching on April 15th, 2014. Quality of life changes are feature changes, and all these features add a lot of goals, and at the end of the day are welcome in my book. We will see what ANET means by friendly play, and how they can facilitate it. Kind of excited for that, if only to have it not be behind a curtain anymore. Again, sorry for the wall, but I feel like it's required now. Cheers. So thank you, Tori. Brings up a lot of good points. I didn't really think about feature patch in the kind of etymological state and what feature means versus what content means.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think ANET sees it this way, or this just kind of how things worked out?
I think it's just kind of how things. I want to say that's how things kind of worked out, but at the same time, to do things like guild halls means creating new content, and on top of that, changing the existing structures. So he holds a really huge point in that sense, because if we already had guild halls and they were just tweaking how they worked and stuff like that, that would just be like a change in the features.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I do like his point that says if everyone said all of these things should have been in at the launch of the game would be coming out till the 15th of this year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take it at face value, that's true.
It is, because, I mean, all of these changes are what we, the players, have asked for. ANET has gone, hey, about this, what's the issue? Or how could this be better? And people talk about it.
Right.
When we get later to the topics and stuff, they've actually solved one of my major problems that I've encountered, especially with the large living story stuff. With this new system that they're implementing. So, yeah, it's all about feedback, because they created an awesome game that seemed to work, but now that it's got so much bigger, I mean, just because something works in a small business setting doesn't mean it works in a large business setting. They're two different animals. Our game, the player base is just so much bigger than when we launched, so the demand is so much different.
Right, I agree. Yeah, I also totally forgot to promote this on Facebook and Twitter. I'm slacking.
Bad leg.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering why we have so few viewers, but you know what? I'm going to shout out to this as well, and this is something that's going to be mentioned in a second. One of the best ways to know when we go live is to follow us on Twitch, because if you follow us on Twitch, you will get an email sent to you that says Chronicles of Tyria has just gone live with XYZ. Oh, there goes Facebook going off, of course. Trying to find, I remember somebody posted a video, I think. Fishbait posted something, and I really wanted to grab it, but that's irrelevant. So thank you, Tori, for your wall. I do actually appreciate them. It does. Any days when we're going to have a short show, your wall of text usually actually sparks a lot of debate, so it's good. So I appreciate it. Last little bit was just from Fishbait real quick. Commented on our YouTube. This is a couple shows back, and said that we were talking about Brahms and I about my data mining hat and how I kind of look like one of the guys from Mega Man, and he said I look like a doozer from Fraggle Rock, and I would agree with that. I also shout out to people that remember Fraggle Rock, because it's a good part of my childhood. And he mentioned in that episode I was trying to think of a type of magic in Dungeons and Dragons, like a magic class, and he said, was conjuration the type of magic? No, it was evocation, and I just couldn't think of it. But yeah. So, on to the news before we get to the patch stuff. First of all, I mentioned last week that Brahms was busy. I just want to kind of put a blanket statement out there. Brahms probably won't be around, at least probably for the month of April. I would say completely, maybe a little bit into May. he's got stuff going on. He has this, he's got some medical stuff going on. He's suffering from postpartum depression from it's this very rare disease. Some of the other people I know do have this. It's called lack of SABitis, and it causes depression. So he won't be around for like a month or two. So just to keep it out there. So we await his return. But for now, you'll have to put up with me and, well, right now Saune, but whoever else I can grab to come on the show with me. So, but we wish him all the best with that, and we'll see him shortly. Okay. I feel like I'm doing all the talking, so I need to hurry up and finish so that Saune can talk.
No, I'm good.
I mentioned briefly that wow, brain totally just gone. Oh, right. That you can follow us on Twitch to get the updates when we're going to go live. Well, I found a video randomly the other day that linked me to some applications for Google Chrome as your browser or Mozilla Firefox. So I'm going to post the links. There's two there. I think you really only need the first one if you're using Google Chrome. And if you're using Firefox, this is another one. This is one you can use. And basically what these applications do is they're extensions or add-ons for your browser. And basically you sign in to your Twitch account, and you can set up anyone you follow or tweak it however it goes, that like on the top right of your browser window there'll be a little pop-up, like there'll be like a little number 1 that's like one of the people you're following is now streaming live. Or you can set them up to actually have a visible pop-up on your screen, so like you're just surfing the internet, and then we go live and you're following us, it'll pop up and say Chronicles of Tyria has just gone live. So you don't have to go in, check your email, and see, oh, they're live, let me go. And sometimes you don't check your email every second, so you have that half-hour delay and you miss, a half hour of the show. Or follow it on ArenaNet so you know the second that they go live with the Ready Up Tomorrow. Something like that. So I just thought it was worth mentioning, so I'll have the links for those in the description of the video, so you guys can check those out. But yeah. So now I'm gonna let Saune do some talking.
Uh-oh.
Because
Where
I
are
need
we?
a break.
Where's my mouse? Where am I?
We're right.
Where are we? Oh.
No patch, no SAB.
Oh, yes. My announcements. The touting about the complete lack of patch.
Yep.
And the complete lack of SAB, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bronze was even going to conscript me and force me into playing it. I'm actually a little disappointed now.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I like those add-ons. That's awesome. I know a few people who should definitely get them. Caro. So I don't have to keep telling them when the podcast is.
I think the Firefox one, there's one of the Firefox one says it's for Justin TV, but since Twitch kind of spawned out of Justin TV, I think they both it works for both. But I think one of those applications you can actually like put in the channel and be like, is this channel live, and like search by the channel. But a lot of them you just log in. So if you follow only like 3 or 4 people, it'll tell you when they're online, or if they're already online, like there'll be a little like computer screen icon in like the top right of your browser window, and you'll see how many of your Twitch people you follow on Twitch are live. But
nice.
Yeah, just little quality of life things, since that seems to be the theme of this patch and this podcast. So anyway, you were going to be talking about the most recent update that went into the game, which is this whole concept of mega servers.
The mega server! Yes, I am super stoked for this. First, what they're doing is they're changing the way that the maps are generated, more or less. So currently, the current system is there are 24 worlds in North America, 27 in Europe. Mm-hmm. So there are 24 individual permanent maps of Mount Maelstrom. So there's timers and all those and whatnot. If you want to go to Mount Maelstrom, you go to that main one. If it's full, an overflow is generated. And the overflows are basically just shadows of the master, the main map. So, like, people who are trying to get to go fight the Shatterer, if you end up in an overflow, you're screwed. The event won't happen because the overflow was literally created from nothing the moment the OF was generated. So the timers are starting from 0 right at that point. Now, what they're doing with this mega system is instead of having 24 completely segregated copies of a single map, there are now basically like a pool of 24 main maps.
Right.
And everyone in North America will be placed in these maps when you go to Waypoint Inn. So if you go to Mount Maelstrom, the map is going to be basically if there's main map, I had this all planned out in my head, but God forbid it comes out of my mouth properly.
That's all good.
If you have the main map and you have an overflow state, well, now there's like an underflow state. So maps are flagged as not full enough. So people who are entering the map will be used to fill up those not full enough maps. And all these maps share the exact same setup, which means you're not resetting timers or anything like that. They're all identical.
Right.
In every way. Where were my notes? When part 1 came out, there was the forums just exploded.
Yeah.
To preface this, I do not read the forums. I was looking in there to find out if there was going to be any patch notes, like if there was anything dropping for Tuesday. And I stumbled upon a few threads that devs had posted on. And I read devs, I don't read players. Players are awful people. No offense, people, but seriously, if you've ever been in the forums, not a pretty place. Basically, the dev answers to the various questions were, they do not boot you once you are in the map. So you go in the map. In the process of joining the map, you are moved to the instance of the map, if one exists, that you're most suited for. So if there's one that has a lot of Tarnished Coast players in it, one that has a lot of people who are using an English interface instead of French interface, if a lot of your friends or a lot of your guildmates are in any of these particular instances, those are all criteria to establish of all the instances of Mount Maelstrom that are in existence. They all get ranked based on what's in it, like in terms of player base, and versus what you do. Like, are you an English player? Are you primarily from Tarnished Coast? Are you from the guild CoT? How many of your friends are online? They place you in that instance. Once you are in that instance, you waypoint around. You don't get kicked out. A lot of people were flipping out because they were like, oh my god, I thought waypoint, I'm going to get kicked out from my friends. And it's all like, no, that's not how it works. But at the same token, it's not an overflow. So there's no queue pop-up. Because you're in a main map.
Right.
People were seriously flipping out that this was going to destroy RP. Like, it was going to take all the RPers from Tarnished Coast who were trying to get into Divinity's Reach and just confetti throw them across all of Tyria on all of Tyria's world. And that's not the case. If you RP, especially if you keep running into our same sort of RPers, add them to your friends list. Join their guild. That will get you into their map. So you'll keep coming out with them. I personally do not think it's going to destroy RP in my mind. In fact, it's more likely to help facilitate it because what they're doing is they're trying to fill empty maps. You're not going to get a lot of people from the low population servers guesting into these high population servers like Blackgate and Tarnished Coast just to be able to experience the content now. Why? Because there isn't a Blackgate or Tarnished Coast Queensdale anymore. There's just a Queensdale.
Right.
So, and because of the way that it's sorted, I mean, most of the Tarnished Coasters are going to be experiencing other Tarnished Coasters and whatnot. I hate running around, especially knowing that Tarnished Coast is an unofficial RP server, and getting Yo Mama So Fat. Like, that is not, in any race, a proper name. Like, they're silly names. I mean, like, I have an Asura named Surreptitian Punkak. Why? Because Punkak is still an Asuran type name. It's silly, but it fits in the lore. Yo Mama So Fat is not fitting in the lore, and it pisses me off so much, because it's like, you are on the wrong server, buddy.
That's fine. There's lots of interesting characters on our server.
There is, yeah. But yeah, I lost my place in my notes. So yeah, to fill in with some of the stuff that was released in today's blogs, yes, Joel and our pancakes. Oh my goodness, why do I keep losing my place? Okay, maps are still region-based. So North America is North America, Europe is Europe. There's no mixing, matching. And when China goes online, China is China. They're completely segregated. They will never mix and match. I'm sorry, people. They will probably never mix and match. They're literally probably physical, separate entities. Because of this, because everything's on fixated timers now, and all the instances of the map are all going to be identical, they have to completely rework the way that world events are triggered. Because right now what it is when an instance is created, or when the day flips, the internal timer basically goes 0 and then starts counting. So now it's 3 hours till the window for this, and the window is 2 hours long, and then whenever that thing gets killed, it could take like 5 minutes, then the new spawn window starts, so now you have to wait another 3 hours. So it's very flex, which is why if you are a person who does hunt the world events, you can end up with like 10 events pop up all at the same time. Why? Because it's on that flex system, which is also why if you end up in an overflow, you don't get to do those events, because the timer has literally been reset completely to 0.
Right.
So they're moving all of these events into a fixed, so they're triggering on like the hour marks, the quarter marks, the half, and the 3/4 marks, always. And there's a schedule up on the wiki for that.
Yeah, I actually will pull that up in the background while you continue talking.
Okay.
So you can kind of see this is the schedule. But keep going, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic because you don't have to, especially for the really popular events like Claw or something, Shadow Beast, or Shadow Behemoth. Shadow Behemoth, you had to, if it entered the window, you needed to go to Queensdale right then, or else you were going to end up in overflow. So you ended up having to sit there for an hour and a half waiting for the pre-events to start. That was awful. The Claw is the same way. The moment the window happened, you had to go there and you had to sit there and wait for it to spawn. Now that they're on a set timer, you don't need to wait for them to spawn. You sort of know when they're going to spawn. The only major downside of this is I learned when I was doing the world events with Jalinar, I could do 80 to 90% of the world events within 2 hours, usually. I could get them all.
Yep.
Basically. Sans some of the temples that just need a really massive Zerg to accomplish.
Right.
You can't do that anymore. I don't think that the schedule works to let you do all of that. Because of it being set, and they're always 15 minutes apart. Because, like, I was capping things where I was, like, capping off Maw, swinging over to cap off, Mark II Golem, and then swinging over to Fire Elemental. That's 3 world bosses in 5 minutes, like.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I'm looking at the schedule now, and everybody can kind of see it. I'm curious because there are some sections that are TBD.
Yeah, that's based on the wiki. I also pulled up the wiki.
Mm-hmm.
There's a world boss that they have not decided on yet.
Okay.
And that's what the TBD is.
Alright, and here's something interesting that's at the bottom of this. It's going to bring changes to new events. For example, any events that previously did not have a failure mechanic or a timer will be getting one.
Yeah.
So that means, like, a lot of those events, again, if no one was there to kill one of those, world bosses, they would just kind of be there until someone killed them. And now they're forcing a failure mechanic. But they do go on to say, kind of like you alluded to, notably the Temples of Ore will not be synchronized at this time since they heavily influence the content ecosystem that they exist in.
Yeah, those were never timered, really. Those were always dynamic events that were just so big that everyone did them anyways. I wouldn't ever consider those, they aren't world events like the Shatterer or those big ass bosses that come around. One thing that I see on the wiki that I meant to address earlier, the wiki says overflow maps will no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
That was alluded to in the official blog. However, the wiki's wording is wrong.
Okay.
Because the wiki's wording implies that they were removing the overflow system. That is not the case. It is just insanely unlikely that you will enter an overflow.
Right.
And I'm really happy for this, like, for the system, because overflows, there was a huge problem with the way the overflows were working that super became apparent during the invasion. Because the invasion for Lion's Arch, the main servers of the camps would swarm into Lion's Arch all at the same time, creating overflows. Then all the overflows of the camps would swing into Lion's Arch, creating overflows. And so what was happening is all these overflows were being fractioned off, and I swear most of these overflows only had like 50 people in them.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
The max server amount is 150, I believe.
Yep.
And I think with this system, the mega server system, the point of it is to try to get every map to have 100 people on it, based on the auto distribution, and that still gives plenty of space for people to bring their friends in, party members, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there were Live Spartan posted some links that kind of where the devs cleared up some stuff on the forums, kind of like what you were talking about. Let's see, is there anything worth mentioning here?
I shall open them now so that I can read them later.
Yeah. If your world usually has a comfortable population on a given map, you're unlikely to see much of a difference until the map actually starts getting full. We're not going to toss a bunch of people from another world into a comfortably occupied server and make it uncomfortable. Again, and also to point out, it's only going to be rolling out on the levels 1 to 15 maps. This system with the feature patch. Presumably, as patches come along, they'll slowly start to roll them out until it covers the entire map. All the maps.
Yeah, they're basically doing a staged rollout, so that they can bug find.
Right. Yeah, because we don't want them to break everything.
Yeah.
They'll be monitoring very closely to make sure the end result is positive. They don't want to really screw people up in their, they really want to try to keep everybody comfortable. Seems to be the main gist of this. Will the system break existing communities? This is from somebody I don't know. Samuel Lortan? I don't know. One of the devs. Will the system break existing communities? I feel like this is the one that a lot of people wanted to hear about. So this is the whole goal of this new system is to enhance the in-game social environment. We completely get the community of your homeworld is important to you, and this is why mega servers take that into account. But I also think that with this tool, we can go further. While homeworld communities are important, they are also very abstract. Choosing which homeworld to pick is a difficult task, even more difficult when you're playing the game for the first time, because more often than not, you don't know what the differences are between each of these worlds. Also, homeworld communities can be quite unbalanced population-wise. With mega servers, the idea is to start taking into account more meaningful data to create communities. People you're playing with, people sharing your interests or goals. We want to try to create this town-like feeling in which, while there are a lot of different people, you're also encountering the same ones frequently enough to be able to establish meaningful relationships. This is one of the long-term goals for this new system. On April 15th, we're introducing the core elements that make it possible, and in this configuration, the homeworld you've picked is very important. And for other informal communities, we will monitor to adapt and the system accordingly. Once again, thank you for your comments. Yada yada yada. So let's see. What else did you have to talk about? We didn't mention any of the guild stuff.
Oh yes. Right. Right now, there's no changes to the way the guilds are. I guess I should reiterate. Parts 2 and 3 are the future of the mega server system once it encompasses all of Tyria. So you have to wait for that staged rollout to finish before any of these features come out. But right now, your guilds are, if you're on separate worlds, you have your own separate chapters. So like, our guildmates who are on Blackgate, they have their own Blackgate version of CoT, meaning the influence and such that they gain goes to that version, and we on TC cannot impact their influence. Like, a officer literally has to move permanently to Blackgate in order to use any of their influence. It doesn't come to our pool. They can't use our pool. We can't use their pool. It's completely separate. Same for the banks. They can't use our bank. I mean, assuming they had the permissions. We can't use theirs. They're completely separate. In the our article, it was described like separate chapters of the same guild.
I like
so even
that.
though we're talking,
describe it.
I
chapters.
do too. It really helps clarify it for sure. The idea is that once the mega server system is Tyria wide, they will amalgamate all of that information together so that there will no longer be separate chapters. There will be just the guild.
Right. And that's fantastic for building a community. So that's really good.
Well, and it makes sense because there won't be separate maps anymore. There won't be separate servers aside from World v World, which is its own beast.
Live Spartan mentions that the Chinese client will already have all these changes when it comes out. So that's, and again, I feel like the Chinese client coming out is actually really good for us because it has forced them to like go back in and think about a lot of these things. And I feel like, I'm not saying that this feature patch and all these things that are happening wouldn't have happened if the Chinese beta and the Chinese release wasn't coming out, but I feel like it's definitely giving a pretty strong impact. What do you think?
I think what it is because they already have the resources trying to recreate the game for the Chinese market, they're able to put a lot more effort and testers and just generic all the resources into testing out and determining these features that we're getting now. So we're actually getting them a hell of a lot faster than we would have before.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they just have so many more people. And, so they have to, like, for our side, they have to worry about, like, how do we incorporate it in to an already live and existing game.
Right.
The Chinese client isn't out yet, is it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, because I was going to be like, they could almost be like the test batch for us,
Yeah.
but I think we're the test batch for them.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's fine, because if they can do really well in the Chinese market, that is so much more money for ArenaNet, which means that they can buy even more resources to give us even more kick-ass stuff like this.
Exactly.
Because it's a huge team to be doing this. Huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the big thing for the guild thing is this announcement for the guild creatable world events, essentially.
Yes.
So knowing that guilds stretch across multiple worlds, we'll be working in let's see, where is it? I want to make sure I read these. Oh, here we go. Because worlds no longer separate players, we'll eventually make sure that guilds are no longer separated either. That every guild member will be contributing, benefiting until the system is placed. Your homeworld guild chapter. That's not what I was looking for either. I
think it's near the bottom.
I think you're right. I feel like I'm totally missing this.
Do you want me to talk about it based on memory?
Sure. Because I read it too, but I'm just trying to find the exact thing.
Yeah, whilst Tech and all those, like, super crazy hardcore bosses are on the rotation, they're on the rotation, like, on a 3-hour spawn window that sort of alternates.
Right.
So they won't both be going off at the same time. The really large guilds can actually trigger the events themselves. This will only trigger on their instance of the map, so it won't go global.
Right.
But for some merits and stuff like that, they can literally buy a pass to say, okay, we actually have a whole bunch of people online, so let's go do Tequatl together, because we can. And then they can go and they can be like, use this consumable that they have created the same way that we create the bounty activities and whatnot. And up pops Tequatl for any poor sap in the area to get squashed by.
Yeah, actually, I found it. It was in a totally different post. That's why. But yeah, you pretty much hit the nail right on the head. Like, that's what it's all about. Guilds will be able to trigger, and this is great for guilds like TTS, who, like, this is what they do. They don't have to worry about, like, oh, is this new mega server thing gonna screw up us trying to get into, like, an empty overflow to build it? They can just trigger the event when they want.
Yeah.
So in order to activate your own mega boss encounter, which is the Carpet Queen, Tequatl, or the Jungle Worm, you'll need to unlock the Guild World Events upgrade. This becomes available after you've researched Guild Challenges, which is the final of the Guild upgrades to unlock. Once you have the upgrade, you will be able to build Guild World Event consumable, have a guild officer with mission permission travel to the starting area of the event you'd like to activate, and use the Guild World Event consumable, and then boom, it activates. And they said the biggest problem is it can't interfere with the public window of, like you mentioned, on the schedule of how things are broken out. This means is you'll be unable to activate your Guild World event if the scheduled event is about to begin. This is mostly to keep guilds from using up their Guild World event when the event would have started shortly anyway. Unlike a standard guild mission, it does not award any merits or commendations at this time. So, it does, however, give your guild a chance to access the content and claim daily event rewards and achievements on your own time. And then
so basically, with Sorry to interrupt. Basically what they're doing is if Twaddle's scheduled to pop in the next half hour, they're not going to allow you to force him to come out now. They're like, just wait half an hour.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because it's also, you spend the influence and everything. It's not worth you kind of blowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the links Live Spartan sent to me had a couple other things. Some clarification. Guild World events are the same as the public activation, except they occur when you want them to. Any bystanders can participate. You can still use the party UI to join someone in a different map instance, and gathering nodes are still randomized on every map instance. So a little bit of clarification.
Okay.
So that, I think that you pretty much covered all the mega server stuff, don't you? Or did you have anything else you want to mention on what's it called? I think that's
No.
Yeah.
I think I've covered everything in some sort of fragmented way or another.
All right. There's just a few other things. There was this PvP, the reward tracks, and the gear unification information we got. One of the biggest things is something we kind of all foresaw was your PvP locker is merging with the wardrobe. So any skins that you've unlocked in PvP, armor, weapon, etc., those will all be merging into your locker. So it's kind of close, and there's no more glory, but now is not a bad time to try to max out your PvP locker. Because you will be able, some of those things are pretty hard to get. Like I have some really rare skins that would cost a fortune to either buy or create that I have in PvP that I'll now have for my PvE characters as well. There's also some skins that I think are PvP only. There's like one or two. There's some armor sets.
There's a version of the armor sets that is PvP only, so...
Yeah, and I think there's
like it shares a name with a PvE, but it's not.
Okay. I think there's one shield that's like, it's the shield that it looks. There's the moon shield that's from like the Sylvari storyline, the white moon or whatever. There's one that's called like the dark moon, which is like just a darker version of that shield, and I believe at this point you can only obtain it through PvP crafting. But that's also another thing that's going away, is the PvP crafting. The Mystic Forge and all that stuff's going away, I believe, on the 15th as well. So if you have tokens and things like that, spend them all now, because it's going away. Although I do think I remember reading, or it is going away eventually, but now that I think about it, I don't think it's going away on the 15th, because I believe it was mentioned at some point that you'd be able to sell them, but maybe I'm wrong. The other thing they announced went into further with these reward tracks. Did you see any of that stuff?
A little bit about the reward tracks. I'm not a big PvPer. I even tried because I was all like, oh, I should get armor and stuff. And yeah, that lasted about an hour.
Well, I'm looking at one of them now. There are going to be exclusive skins in there. Like they already showed, the Balthazar back piece is only going to be available through PvP. And essentially you do whatever you earn almost like achievements to get to this point, and you unlock things as you go. They show in this image the Balthazar back item reward track, at whatever the quantifier is it's at 40 of 40 you get the back piece. But it looks like at every 5 intervals along the way, you'll get something else. It looks like 5 destroyer slivers, and then, slowly on different, destroyer cores or lodestones. And you also get kind of loot boxes along the way. They also mentioned that you'll be able, I think 2 are going to cycle in weekly, are going to be dungeon related. So that'll be able to let you get dungeon armor, or maybe even dungeon tokens. So this way you can unlock those things. And they cycle every week. You'll have 2 new dungeons. Although they did say, if you complete the story mode of the dungeons after the patch comes out, you will then have those unlocked to do at your leisure. So you don't have to like try to rush and do them in a week. So it gives you a reason to go in and do the story mode dungeons again. If you've done them now, it doesn't count. You have to do them again after the patch is implemented. So now's as good time as any to gear yourself up and get ready.
Yeah, I remember being really excited because they're removing the separation between PvP and PvE.
Mm-hmm.
You can everything that you need to build any sort of armor or equipment, you can get in either PvP or PvE, with the one exception being the Gift of Battle and the Gift of Exploration.
Right, but you'll be able to earn the Mystic Clovers and Obsidian Shards and that kind of stuff from PvP. But again, and that kind of makes sense because the whole point of a legendary is to encompass all aspects of the game. So this allows PvP to be kind of brought into that.
Mm-hmm.
They also show the UI and the quick launch, like the build features that like show you how you build your armor and stuff. And like at this point, it's so close to having just you be able to save builds. So I would be shocked if that doesn't come out. See, at the bottom here you have PvP build, game browser, arenas. So I wouldn't be surprised if savable builds is something that'll happen in PvP. They're going to be adjusting the ranks again to give you more rank points to make things easier to obtain. One of the things they did say was that if you are rank 55-ish right now, you just get auto-leveled to max level 80 in PvP. So that's pretty awesome for you if you have that. I don't, so it doesn't really affect me. But and then I know there's some contention there because it's like, is this thing to strive for, and now we don't have it anymore. But yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll add more. You can still continue to level up to gain loot and things. And the last little thing we'll do before we close it out is, well, actually, before I get to this, it's time for the Gw2 Craft Corner, where I highlight a Guild Wars 2 artist of some kind, and I have this is the art piece right here. I made sure I consulted Saune, who's my artistic consultant, to which art to show. So this is the art right here, and it is, oh boy, ichithecupcake.tumblr.com is the account associated with this lovely piece of art. And again, there will be a link in the description of the YouTube video and all iTunes and all those things, so you can see the art that I'm talking about if you're not watching us live. And I believe Yowza, is that the... this was a commission work as well, so...
Yeah, it's entitled Yowza.
So, pretty cool stuff. So be sure to check out Ichi the Cupcake at Tumblr. And then the last little bit before I officially close it out is there was the new gem store stuff that came out on Tuesday. Did you see any of that, and were you at all involved in that? Did you get any of the gem store stuff?
I didn't, because I'm broke ass, but that backpack is so adorable.
It's the Quaggan Warrior.
He has a little sword and it wobbles when you move. And it looks like a lollipop because it's the pearl.
Yeah, they added a handful of things. Obviously, this you can view in the PvP locker at this point is the Quaggan Warrior backpack. They added the Minstrel finisher, which I thought was kind of cool. The what's it called? It's basically a chest, like the world event size chest, falls down on the enemy and then out pops the Minstrel, which is basically, if you remember a few years back, for April Fool's Day, they released that the newest character profession was going to be the Minstrel, and then like if you clicked on it, then it like broke away and it turned out it was an illusion, and they announced the Mesmer. So it's actually the same thing, and he kind of sings the Guild Wars theme song a little bit, plays his little lute, and then disappears. Pretty cool. There's the glowing crimson mask, which gives you the glowing eyeballs, which is glowing red. Which the closest thing to this we had previously was the necromancer or starting mask that gives you the white eyes.
Yeah, but the necromask you can at least dye.
Can you? The one that makes your eyes completely white?
You can't dye the white, but you can dye the stuff that sits on your face. The crimson mask has no dye channels.
Gotcha.
It is a red thingy with red glow.
Again, obviously the Quaggan Warrior backpack. There's the Identity Repair Kit, which is a total makeover kit and a name change contract. I believe the overall savings is 150 gems to buy it like that rather than buying them separate.
That's pretty impressive. And the name amuses me.
Yeah. And then just a couple other things. Tormented Weapons and the Scarlet Gloves and Scarlet Shoulders will be leaving the gem store, and they're going to be changing the trading post history. It's only going to show the previous 90 days, whereas currently it shows your entire trading post history if you go back through it. I
Seems a
shudder
little
to
ridiculous.
go back and look at mine, because it would be too many keys. And I don't really have a question of the week for this week, so I don't think I'm going to do one. I haven't put a lot of thought in it. I've been swamped with work. So, but Saune, you've been drawing this lovely black and white piece of art, and we're just about to finish up, so care to enlighten us on what the inspiration for said piece of art is for?
No, I have no idea. I thought it would be cool to do lamp near face, and there was going to be fog, but I was really struggling because for those who are watching, I didn't do much understructure. I literally just started painting. So
okay, so this was just kind of a random
yeah.
one. Right.
I did black and white because I figured out the key command to remove my GUI to do this fun thing, so that you guys can see the image a little easier. So to do that, I kind of have to stick to black and white because I can't see my color canvas anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I can change the tint. I got key commands on my tablet to do that, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, they can't always be inside jokes or commissions, so sometimes they're just Saune being Saune, and that's what happens.
Yeah. At least it's not me, like, yawning last time I did a random doodle.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, it works. Beautiful black and white drawings.
Yeah.
So, alright, did you have anything else you wanted to mention? We're just past that hour mark, so, do you have anything you want to mention, or we'll close this bad boy up?
I think we're good. No, I didn't notice any questions come up in the chat. Chat was pretty quiet this time, actually.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably because I didn't promote that we were live until halfway through the show.
Bad leg.
Yeah,
Bad.
I was actually too busy trying to get like the theme song ready. That's my new sticking point, is not having that ready ahead of time. But alright, so if you don't have anything and I don't have anything, for the 90th episode of the Chronicles of Tyria podcast, I'm Lagman.
And I'm Saune.
And we will see you next time.
Special lockout!
Oh, Saune. Okay.
My version of air guitar.